So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Power Rangers? So let's start the series. The Psycho officers are shipped off the Narutoverse after their last loss. This is the tale of Naruto Uzumaki. On the off chance that you were searching for an account of how a kid battles to procure his blissful closure in a dim world, you've tracked down some unacceptable story. You've found a story where his most noteworthy triumph prompts his ruin and possible return. This is his story. Psycho Red gets up in a white room and sees his kindred Psycho officers. What are all of you doing here? I thought you were undeniably annihilated. Psycho Pink states, well, it's no time like the present you at long last got here. I've been conversing with him since I was annihilated, and he doesn't respond to questions. Psycho Dark inquires, him? Psycho Pink focuses to a man with skin practically blue and no hair in a basic robe. He gestures, hi youngsters. I'm Zordon of Elter. Psycho Yellow inquires, would you confirm or deny that you are a detainee of Dim Phantom? Zordon gestures, right. I actually am. In any case, I will soon never again exist in the actual world. This is the intersection between the living and life following death. Since I'm just in a time travel, I'm everlastingly in a flood, all things considered. I have decided to meet with you for your reclamation. The five begin to blur, apparently the living call to you once more. Psycho Pink revisitations of the White Room and inquires, what happened now? Zordon makes sense of, that would be crafted by Trakina and Deviate. The two had quite recently taken you back to the actual world to fight the Cosmic System officers. In any case, the adulterated restoration caused you to fail to remember this gathering. Also, you prevailed in your main goal, the Pink System officer Kendrix had lost her life. Be that as it may, not for a really long time. Psycho Dark inquires, not for a really long time? Might you at any point see the future at this point? Zordon makes sense of, I have consistently seen the fate of my world. Kendrix will be restored when the power she passed on to Safeguard is fixed away. Also, the officers will keep on staying the course. These fights you have had against the officers is for nothing. While there should be equilibrium, great and malicious won't ever win for a really long time. It is the premise of the real world. Psycho Yellow inquiries, and do we have something to do with the real world? Zordon gestures, right. The spirit you five depend on are not from this reality. Psycho Red shouts, your meaning could be a little clearer. Make sense of. Zordon shows them a picture of a light-haired, blue-eyed kid with stubble marks in an orange jumpsuit. This is Naruto Uzumaki. He is the spirit you five start from. He shows them another scene, this one of a gathering between Rita Repulsa, Ruler Zed, Lord Mondo, Divatox, and Astronema with Dull Ghost. Dim apparition blasts, my dedicated partners. I bring a device for every one of you to use as you see fit, a working soul. Zed murmurs, a working soul? How can that be? Even the absolute most unadulterated of spirits accumulated to make beasts have misfires. Dim Phantom makes sense of, there are two reasons. One, this spirit isn't of this reality, and it has been damaged by avarice and desire to be denied to any appropriate eternity. Ruler Mondo squeaks, how can that be? No measure of evil could deny a spirit to an existence in the wake of death. Dull Apparition states, it isn't the evil of this spirit. It's the evil done to the spirit. Its entire life, it was denounced, and, surprisingly, the most brave second was turned and mutilated to resort in the obliteration of mortal structure. Rita shouts, and this made the spirit be denied eternity. I'm getting a cerebral pain from attempting to comprehend. Dim Apparition tells her, in light of the fact that the spirit is desirous. It is desirous of the existence it was denied, thus it meanders the human plane to search briefly possibility. It will get the additional opportunity. Divatox sneers, well, I am extremely appreciative for you offering me this chance, Master Dim Phantom. Dull Phantom grunts, this open door isn't so much for you, Divatox. It is for Astronema. A blue circle shows up before the purple-haired young lady, while Dim Phantom tells her, utilization the spirit as you see fit, Astronema. Break it, re-establish it, anything that you should. At the point when the power officers fight you, use it as you see fit. Astronema bows, obviously, Dim Ghost. Astronema is in the core of her own boat, as Ecliptor enters in his mutilated kid. He retires from, soul has been effectively embedded into the 5 cards. Astronema grins, great. Project Psycho can start vigorously. Are the 5 suits prepared? Ecliptor bows, indeed, they just anticipate a being to wear them. Psycho Blue chuckles, haha, so this is the way we were conceived. Psycho Yellow inquires, so were every 5 creatures with a similar soul? Zordon makes sense of, a piece of the spirit. Every one of you have 1/5 of Naruto's spirit. The rest were made by Astronema to make you ready to fight the officers and follow her. Psycho Pink inquires, Naruto? Like the fish cake? What a dumb name. Zordon sneers, and a kid at that. Psycho Yellow and Psycho Pink peer down while Psycho Blue won't quit giggling. Zordon states, Naruto Uzumaki was brought into the world in a town in a universe of ninja, where on the day he was conceived, a 9-followed evil presence fox greater than any Megazord went after. It made the moves of the kid's dad to save the town at the expense of his life. The fox was fixed inside Naruto's very being, and has from that point forward carried on with an anguished life where he is either loathed or disregarded for his destiny. He strived for acknowledgement his entire life, and would have gotten it, aside from one portentous day. Psycho Dark inquires, what day? The day his closest companions sold out the town. The following picture shows a kid wearing a blue shirt with white shorts and arm sleeves, with dark hairs, dark spiky hair, and a grin of presumption. This is Sasuke Uchiha. He was naturally introduced to the town's celebrated Uchiha group. At the point when he was a kid, he was the last one standing of a slaughter on the tribe did by his own sibling. He and Naruto are rivals, being in the same boat of ninjas. At some point, he was reviled by a dull fighter known as Orochimaru, which inebriated him with power. In the end, he believed he would get more grounded following Orochimaru than he would in the town. So he escaped. Naruto led a group of companions to catch him. This reality, it is like our own, where there are such countless courses of events made from various choices. In many, Naruto loses the game-changing battle against his opponent, and bombs the mission to recover Sasuke. In the course of events you are from, this occurs. Naruto, covered in the quality of the 9-followed fox, delivers a purple circle of energy, while Sasuke, consumed by his revile and presently seems to be a darker-looking beast with hand-like wings, produces white lightning around his hand, with the sound of fluttering wings heard all through the front line. The two charge at one another, getting down on the other's name. At the point when the assaults impacted, both were shockingly injured, and tumbled to the ground. From that point forward, a group of ninja view as the two, and recover them. Psycho Dark shifts focus over to Zordon, okay. So he won a battle. How does this prompt his demise? Zordon doesn't look into, practically beginning to cry, continue to watch. In a jail cell with a solitary candle for light, Sasuke Uchiha sits on the seat, scowling at his inability to overcome Naruto. Then, at that point, a man with gauzes covering the greater part of his body, strolling with a stick, and a big part of his badly crumpled face liberated from wrinkles, goes into the room, noticeable thanks to a solitary flame. He speaks, "I go by Danzo Shimura. I'm one of the elderly folks of the town. What is it that you need? An admission?" Danzo gestures, "No, Sasuke. I offer you opportunity." Sasuke shifts focus over to him. "I have been arranging an upset of the Hokage since Saratobi was Hokage. While he's permitted me elbow room and certain activities, however hindered me in others, I have been shaping a multitude of ANBU directly in front of everyone. Root wouldn't make a move until it was at a substantial second. Assuming that you had prevailed in your departure, it would have been a long time from now. In any case, since you're presently here, it will be a ton speedier. With you, my powers can undoubtedly topple Princess Tsunade." Sasuke glares. "For what reason would it be advisable for me to mind?" Danzo grins. "You will have retribution. In the first place, you'll be instated as the top of the Uchiha faction, and as a piece of family rebuilding provisions. When you grow up, your seed will spread all through the town until the group is re-established with your descendants. Furthermore, besides, you'll have all the power you need. A sizable amount of ability to kill Uzumaki and Itachi. You should simply be faithful to me. What do you say?" Root was quick and even-minded. In under 60 minutes, Danzo had the option to oust Tsunade and compel her on the run. The town elderly folks had no real option except to introduce him as the 6th Hokage. Root had the option to keep those faithful to Tsunade from arranging an uprising with dangers and shakedown. Naruto was taken from the medical clinic bed he was resting in and taken to the amphitheater where the Chunin tests were held. The stands are filled for the most part with the individuals who effectively detested him, with just 1% of them knowing him actually, with a quality of self-hatred for being not able to help him. Danzo remains before a limited Naruto, and speaks, "I'm Danzo Shimura, the recently designated 6th Hokage. With the endorsement of the town, you, Naruto Uzumaki, are formally a swindler of the town concealed in the leaves." Naruto shouts, "What?" One of the Root officials controlling him gags him so he will not speak. "You have shamed the town and its kin, and have likewise gone after a tribe head with plan to kill. Your sentence is passing at daybreak tomorrow." A large portion of the group cheered to this. Naruto was set in a restraint, and put into Sasuke's unique cell, with Root agents kicking him while he's down. He was permitted guests between beatings, with his dearest companions saying sorry for them being not able to help him. One young lady, a pink-haired young lady with green eyes, was crying, "Please accept my apologies, Naruto. I ought to never have made you make the guarantee to return Sasuke. It's my shortcoming this is going on to you." Naruto grins heartily, "You can definitely relax, Sakura. However long you and the others are protected. I'll be okay." Sakura's eyes solidify. "I heard there be discussion that Sasuke will be your killer." I requested him a response. He giggled like some miscreant in a film. He was gloating about it to me. He then, at that point, had the nerve to say that he'd organize it for me to wed him. I don't need him any longer after this, and that is not in any event, pondering him having some harem. Naruto gestures, "You feel disregarded. Please accept my apologies, Sakura. I'll make it better, somehow." She is driven out. Close to enter was Kakashi Hatake, who looks on sadly, "I am a horrible educator. I let my culpability over each and every individual who ever passed on made me smother you and Sakura. My trepidation for Sasuke's life in his fight against Gaara caused me to decide to prepare him over you. I broke my own rule. I'm more regrettable than scum for showing someone more terrible than rubbish. Naruto, I'm sorry. Naruto shrugs, you did nothing out of sorts, teacher. You were being human. Simply pay special attention to Sakura. She appeared to be really separated. Kakashi gestures, obviously. He leaves with the miserable thoroughly search in his eye, then, at that point, the beast enters with all his strut, good tidings, deceiver. Naruto snaps, what is it that you need? Sasuke states, I'm only here to perceive how the blameworthy is doing. Not generally excellent, I'd say. What's more, I wasn't in any event wearing a restraint when I was in here. Naruto grunts, on the off chance that you're here to gloat about how you will kill me. Then, at that point, go. I would rather not breath in a similar space as you any longer. Sasuke concedes, you're correct, I came here to gloat about that. Furthermore, to see the thoroughly search in a young man's face of how his fantasies won't work out is expected. As a matter of fact, dreams are something worth being thankful for. Like becoming Hokage. What is your take, Naruto? Could you at any point picture me as Hokage, have your fantasy? Naruto murmurs, you are no Hokage. You need to be Hokage in a spirit of meanness. I'll concede, I had self-centered purposes behind needing to be Hokage, from the get-go, however I realized being Hokage. Actually you don't. You won't ever understand what that implies, or a shinobi. What's more, you won't ever beat Itachi. Sasuke grins, however you'll be dead and I'll have the Manjikyu Sharingan. I will not be a shinobi. I'll be areas of strength for I, sufficiently able to kill Itachi. He leaves with a repeating chuckle. One last individual sees Naruto. And Naruto. Naruto gazes upward from where he's resting and sees a young lady with lavender hair and pearl eyes. Hinata? Hinata starts to cry, I am heartbroken, and Naruto. And not a single one of us had very much familiarity with what Danzo planned to do, and when we did, it was past the point of no return. I would rather not be past the point of no return now. In the event that I won't ever find the opportunity. She swallows hard, I love you, and Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto makes the associations, her timidity around him, the characteristics, the snapshots of dauntlessness when he empowers her, beginning and end. Naruto stammers, I won't ever take note. Please accept my apologies, Hinata. I ought to have been seen and perhaps, it would have been delightful. A root official enters, sunrise is in a short time, double crosser. You're not kidding. Naruto grunts, go screw yourself. I'm going to have a legitimate first kiss. Hinata goes wide-peered toward, as Naruto makes a speedy peck all the rage. Naruto grins the greatest smile he's at any point had. The root official states, Hyuga, it's the ideal opportunity for you to leave. Naruto is hauled away, as he mumbles, here we go, judgment time. He hears a voice, of everyone I briefly passed on with before resurrection, you've held the most beauty with the information unit. That has gained my appreciation. He states, see you on the opposite side. Naruto is taken back to the field with the root officials limiting him, while Danzo and Sasuke gaze at him with the stands loaded up with a similar crowd as in the past. Sasuke inquires, any final words, trickster? Naruto blares, don't. Mississippi. Sasuke grins, and dispatches at him with the Chidori. Naruto breaks liberated from the restriction and runs into the assault. As his heart quits pulsating, he investigates Sasuke's eyes, and sees that the Sharingan is unaltered. He grins that he denied Sasuke a triumph. Yet, cries when he hears those nearest to him shouting out in torment. Psycho Red thunders, I'll kill him. I'll kill him to death for doing this to us. Psycho Dark concedes, I think we as a whole value you showing us our past, yet what do you anticipate that we should do about it? Zordon makes sense of return. Writes some unacceptable. Carry equity to the town concealed in the leaves. Psycho Blue snickers, as long as we kill some rascal in blue, I'll be elated. Psycho Yellow inquires, I don't have the foggiest idea. How could it be that Sasuke didn't get the Manjikyu Sharingan? Even better, how did Danzo get a genuine case on something as becoming Hokage? Zordon replies, since he broke his bond with Naruto. It was presently not sufficiently able to frame one. The main bond he feels sufficient for is his loved ones. With respect to Danzo, he had persuaded the master of the country to permit the political upset. Psycho Pink makes some noise, indeed, what are we hanging tight for? It's the ideal opportunity for retribution. As they disappear, Zordon cautions, vengeance isn't the response to everything. Simply ask Sasuke, for it has obfuscated his judgment for a really long time. Go to the town concealed in the sand as fast as possible, a close buddy will require your guide. Express welcome to Kurama for me. As they totally blurred, the five regarded themselves as in a timberland. Psycho Dark brings up, this feels recognizable. Psycho Yellow tells them, I sense a town, simply over that slope. The five beginning strolling, and they in the end up out of the woodland, sitting above a scaffold, and at the highest point of the slope, two humble graves. One of which with a blade as large as Psycho Pink. She exclaims, this is Zabuza and Haku's grave. We're in the place that is known for waves. Psycho Blue chuckles, it's astounding the way that we currently know such a great amount about Naruto. It's like we were really there. Psycho Red grunts, that is on the grounds that we were there. Actually. The Psycho officers stand over the grave for minutes, with Psycho Blue conceding, now that we're back, I feel only lament. Psycho Yellow gestures, yeah, wait, how can we feel lament? We were intended to obliterate power officers. Psycho Pink verbally processes, perhaps this is on the grounds that we weren't a drawn-out plan. That is the reason we continue to go off the deep end assuming we stay around for a really long time. Psycho Red calls attention to, yet we haven't gone off the deep end yet. Is this Zordon's work? Psycho Dark shrugs, conceivably. That or Naruto's character is beginning to overwrite our limited viewpoints. Psycho Pink steps in the right direction, and snatches Zabuza's sharp edge by the handle. Psycho Dark inquires, what's going on with you? Psycho Pink responses, what does it resemble? I'm getting a weapon. Psycho Red yells, you can't do that. It's his weapon. Psycho Pink makes sense of, we're going toward a whole country of professional killers led by a man who went from no one worth mentioning to Hokage short term. We'll require every one of the weapons we can get. Also, this weapon ought to be utilized for its planned purpose, the neck cutting edge, pointed right at Danzo. Psycho Blue chuckles, and it'll be marvelous. Hee hee. Psycho Yellow grunts, whatever, how about we get rolling? Psycho Dark calls attention to, we want to take on human pretense before we head into the town. We'll stand apart like the enormous awful Psychobots. Psycho Red breathes in profoundly, I smell a fire. Look! He focuses to the edge of the scaffold, interfacing with the place that is known for waves, and there is smoke. Psycho Blue laughs, ha! Seems to be an uproar. Psycho Pink states, well, the thing would we say we are hanging tight for? How about we go see what's happening? The five blaze step across the water and onto the scaffold, as lights in view of their tones. On the scaffold, they see individuals of waves shaping a line around the entry of the extension with 12 ANBU shinobi sufficiently close to be pelted with the town's straightforward weapons of rocks and garbage. A couple of the agitators truly do brandish a crossbow, yet just take shots at the ANBU's feet, attempting to unnerve them. It doesn't work. Something was perceived from the ANBU. They were wearing dark midsection coats with red lashes, their veils were very plain contrasted with other ANBU covers, and there was a band around their arms with a solitary kanji, root. One of the agitators charged at a root employable with a comma close by, yet his immediately struck somewhere near the root's tipless tanto. The psycho officers had no clue about what was happening, yet they realized sufficient that root is a group of sociopaths and the place that is known for waves has gone through an adequate number of that they must be halted. The 5 Blaze ventured behind 5 of the root agents, and immediately repressed them, effectively being disregarded by the other 7 as they managed the mob. They immediately had their necks snapped, and afterwards Psycho Red shouts, "Hello numbskulls." The excess root agents shift focus over to the psycho officers with an exhausted position. Deadpan pricks can't be frightened. That holds this back from getting fascinating. Red gloats, "You want to go after these individuals, you'll need to go through us first." One of them makes some noise in a dead tone, "Who are you?" Psycho Dark laughs, "We're the psycho officers." Every psycho officer takes a position and charge forward to fight the foe. Psycho Red takes on 2 immediately, same as Dark, in the meantime blue, yellow, and pink arrangement with the leftover adversary. As Psycho Red's 2 adversaries attempt to wound at him, he impedes with his arms. The root official he's battling concedes, battling without a weapon. What an odd position. Red grunts, "I'm a weapon." He throws them away, and produces his dark blade. At seeing this, the others produce their weapons. Dark his turned staff, blue his hatchet, yellow her slingshot, and pink her bow and bolts. Pink quickly turns imperceptible as her adversary charges at her, and flames a blast of bolts into his back until he falls over the edge of the scaffold and into the waterway. Pink verbally processes, "Isn't that where Gato lost his head?" Yellow gets the cutting edge of her rival and throws it away, prior to discharging 3 shots from her slingshot until he falls with a crash. Blue starts to turn like a cyclone and makes a few slashes into his rival until he falls dead. Red repels his rival's slices and continues to cut his 2 adversaries like brisket. Dark inquires, "Was it a lot to request an option that could be preferable over a straightforward staff?" There's nothing left but to beat them. Pink shouts, "Dark." She creates Zabuza's sharp edge and tosses it right at the 2, Dark avoiding without a moment to spare. His adversaries turned out to be exceptionally horrendous wrecks. One of them, a man the 5 perceive from Naruto's recollections as Tazuna, approaches. He quits, "Psycho officers, I believe that is what you called yourselves. On the off chance that you hadn't have shown up, it would have been a slaughter." Red shrugs, "No issue. We had a chip in our shoulders with Root and you individuals appeared to be respectable, so we thought we'd help. Be that as it may, I surmise a legitimate presentation is altogether." He goes to the others, who gesture their heads, and they eliminate the lashes on their caps and take them off. Tazuna's eyes enlarge, astonishing. "You 5 seem to be the rascal we named this extension after. May he find happiness in the hereafter." The 5 gander at one another, and indeed, they really do seem to be Naruto without the caps. The key distinctions were the different levels, the absence of stubble marks, yet in addition their hair. Dark's hair is dark, Red's hair is red, etc., etc. Pink and Yellow's hair is a piece longer, yet even more a wild style, as Tsum and Izuka. They attempt to keep their shock as curbed as could be expected. Tazuna recuperates, "At any rate, I might want to thank you all, yet I know literally nothing about you. Dark gestures, it is okay. He understands that his voice seems as though Naruto's without the cap. It's a lot coarser contrasted with the first, yet it's there. He proceeds, my name is Menma, the redhead is Chasu, the blonde is Naruko, pinky is Moyashir, and bluehead is Tamago. We come from a little island called Elter that is exceptionally far away. Tazuna gestures, indeed, for the benefit of the place that is known for waves, we much obliged. From that point forward, the whole town surges the 5, handshakes, embraces, all the way. The root ninjas' remains were tossed over the scaffold to lay down with the fishes, while the man that was killed kept an eye on by his family for a legitimate burial service. Sometime thereafter, a whole celebration was made all through the town. Sometime later, Tazuna's little girl, Inari, inquires, something I pondered you 5, would you say you are shinobi? I saw your methods on the extension, yet you weren't utilizing hand signs. Moyashir speaks, we were shinobi and kunoichi from Elter. Yet, inevitably, we chose to adhere to going all things considered. We're more similar to sages in preparing. Our strategies, the imperceptibility, the cyclone turn, those are bloodline qualities, Kekkei Genkai. We've had them our entire life. Tamago questions, if it's all the same to you, yet for what reason were Konoha and Bu going after you? We haven't been in that frame of mind in some time, and last we heard you were partners. Tazuna's grandson, Inari, made some noise, that was before Danzo. Some no-name lawmaker who no one with the exception of a couple have known about unexpectedly assumed control over the secret leaf town in a solitary evening, sending the Hokage on the run, and afterward became Hokage himself. Then, at that point, he executed the legend of this land, the one this extension is named after. So to demonstrate hatred for the man, they maintain that we should rename the extension, which we will not. So presently they've been harassing us from that point onward. They've likewise been searching for his old master. Chasu takes a spit take, Kakashi Hatake. Tazuna gestures, no. His unique master, Iruka Umano. The psycho officers saw Iruka only once for a couple of moments while Naruto was a detainee. He just remained there and separated in tears. The root monitors limited him when they thought he planned to break him out. Tazuna resumes, after Naruto's passing, Iruka fled the town, being named a missing nin. Other than Itachi Uchiha, he's the main concern in their manhunt. One of his latest areas was here, when he conveyed the horrible news. We don't have any idea where he is, nor does any other individual. However, they actually continue to send those beasts to menace us. Naruko breathes out, whoa, I don't realize which is more regrettable, winding up dead by your closest companion, or being compelled to watch a companion wind up dead by his dearest companion. What else could there be? Wave replies, beside Konoha, nothing else. Konoha, in any case, is an all-out tyranny, with Danzo Shimura as the ongoing essence of extremist malevolence. He even toppled the daimyo of the place that is known for fire, and stated himself as the Phoenix Hokage. From that point forward, what I am familiar with within the place where there is fire is simply tattle, since no one can truly enter it without consent, yet what I can be sure of is that they've been attacking grounds of different countries, taking area one small step at a time. They've proactively taken the terrains of lesser countries with no opposition, and it's inevitable until they're assimilated into the fire country and the rest will begin to be taken. Tazuna takes a gander at the moon, and says, time's slipping away. Wave, now is the ideal time to get Inari to bed. Might you 5 want to remain the night in our home? It's not a lot, yet it can fit every one of you. Menma gestures, thank you, however it'll be only for the evening. We need to get to Suna as fast as could really be expected. That evening, the five are given the decision of one room or the three free rooms. They decide on the one room. Resting game plans are made clumsily in the room, with their suits supplanted with night where the residents had given them. Tamago expresses his real thoughts. We're in a bad way, right? Naruto makes some noise. Clearly Danzo has a whole multitude of sociopaths behind him, yet to have the option to attack different grounds without retaliation. Everything smells. Chasa grunts, no doubt, regardless of whether we had the dumb fox, we could never get far. You want to place somewhat more confidence in me, Naruto. Everybody stays up with a shock. Menma inquires, did any other individual hear that? Tamago exclaims, it was him, right? Menma shrugs, Zordon requested that we express welcome to him. Better believe it, he did. Decent person, was a piece odd-looking, however pleasant person. Chasa states, shouldn't we be in the drains assuming we will have this discussion? I mean, it is regular. Everybody gestures and begins to contemplate. They promptly wind up in a recognizable sewer. Naruto questions, is it peculiar that this spot actually looks poo but like I've missed it for quite a long time? Everybody gestures in arrangement. They all begin strolling, not exactly knowing where they're going, until they find an enclosure with the 9-followed fox inside, and Naruto Uzumaki sitting outside. He waves, howdy, folks. Chasa shouts, how are you here? You're dead. You became us. Naruto shrugs, I don't know. You're each a piece of me, so until in any case, I'm separated of you folks like Fluffball here. The fox gasps at the remark, yet Moyasher sweats, I can't trust this. Trust it, sister. Since Zordon figured you five would require all the assistance you could get. So from here onward, you have his chakra, and my procedures. The following morning, the psycho officers' leave is guaranteed, however not in their unique suits. Those have been placed in fixed looks for when they're required. Meanwhile, they are presently wearing dark jeans and dark coats with undershirts of their own tones. Turns out before they were discarded, the Root Ninja had sufficient cash to pay for these new strings that were looted from their carcasses. Chasa tells the others, how about we go meet Gaara? Writer's note, so I was perusing some fanfiction of Naruto being deceived by Konoha and returning as a miscreant looking for reclamation from different anime, from the Espada to the homunculus. Presently here, I'm having a go at something else. The five have come to the edges of the desert where Suna is. Moyasher breathes out, this is like searching for the savage sword once more. Menma inquires, do you have it with you? She grunts, damnation no. On the off chance that I did, I'd be monster at the present time. Tamago shouts, could we at any point get rolling? I'm an ice individual in a desert, so the sooner we leave, the better. Chasa grins, then, at that point, we should get moving. The five run off through the desert. Naruto inquires, do we have any idea where we're going? Damnation no. Naruto stops, well then, at that point, we should ask Fishcake and Fluff Butt. Naruto's voice shouts out, Fishcake? Genuine unique coming from you folks. Chasu inquires, what might be the meaning of that? Menma makes sense of, in light of the fact that we as a whole are nevertheless Naruto named after ramen fixings. Moyasher states, you can pretty drag here and there. Tamago inquires, is that smoke I see? The 9-followed fox blasts, I sense Shikaku. He's moving extremely quick. Menma states, point us toward the path, and we'll deal with the rest. As they keep running, Naruto calls attention to, we're taking off from the smoke. This isn't great. Following an hour of running, the five find that Shikaku has quit moving. That is certainly not a decent sign, they think. Also, they're right, there are two individuals, or one individual and a circle-like being, wearing dark shrouds with red mists. Akatsuki. The five don't have affectionate recollections of Itachi and his shark companion, since, in such a case that it weren't so much for them, then this wreck could not have possibly occurred. There's one more in dark, yet he's encircled by three mannequins and is wearing purple conflict paint all over. Menma proclaims, "Is that Kankuro?" Naruto calls attention to, "He's harmed." Furthermore, is that one person riding a Goliath bird? It is valid, the more slim of the Akatsuki, with long light hair is riding a mud-like bird, with Gaara in his mouth. The five choose to toss a smoke bomb each around them, shaping a pentagon of smoke around them. The blondie inquires, "What on earth's going on, Chasa brags, "You've screwed with some unacceptable individuals, Akatsuki." Tamago clucks, "Better believe it, you ought to be aware to keep away from individuals who's great individuals." Menma grunts, despite the fact that don't feel terrible. "In any case, we could do without you asses." The monster mass grunts in a dull voice, "Could we at any point get this over with? We have spots to be, so quit the damn vain behaviors." Moyashir gasps, "Well, that is no joke." The five show up in full shield after the dust settles, while Naruto grins, "Akatsuki, psycho officers." Psycho officers, Akatsuki. The blonde one grunts, "Psycho officers, what an unremarkable name, The mass grunts, "Similar to you'd concoct a name, Deidara." All your unfortunate craftsmanship continues to explode. Deidara sneers, "Well, as you can understand, Sasori, art is a blast." Tamago grunts, "Piece of a flair for the vain behaviors." Sasori inquires, "Truly? We have flares for showy behaviors?" Chasa yells, "Okay, enough with the poo then. Give us our companion Gaara and us five won't kick your two asses." Kankuro stammers, "Stand by, you know the Kazekage?" Menma grins under his defensive layer, "Gaara became Kazekage? Yet, he was a genin quite a while back. That is noteworthy, got to salute him. After we make sense of where we met him." Sasori blasts, "This is taking excessively damn lengthy, Deidara. Take the Jinchuriki and do without me." Deidara begins to take off, until a monster limb made of rock sent the mud bird to the ground. Everybody hopes to see that Menma had changed into his tremendous stone structure, and at the Goliath size. Kankuro stammers, "What the dash?" Deidara inquires, "What on earth sort of gather is this, HM?" Menma blasts, "This is no bring, Akatsuki. This is the genuine force of the psycho officers." Sasori inquires, "Deidara, where on earth's the Jinchuriki?" Chasa sneers, "Here." The two look and see that he is conveying Gaara on his back. He hands him over to his more established sibling, "Return him to Suna, paint work." Kankura head droops, checking an injury on him, "Can't out. I was harmed. I'm scarcely ready to keep cognizant." The huge guy, he's Sasori of the desert, he planned a ton of shinobi mannequins for Suna before he defected, 20 a long time back. He nods off. Chase shouts, "Pooh. Naruto, Moyashir, get them back there as quickly as possible." Deidara snaps, "Similar to damnation you will, Tamago makes a hand sign, "Shadow clone jutsu." Chasu does likewise, "Shadow clone jutsu." Menma is as yet a Goliath and calls out with 1,000 clones, "You prepared to battle a military, Akatsuki?" Sasori removes his shroud, uncovering that he's a Goliath scorpion-molded mannequin with a monster face on his back with a scorpion tail emerging from the mouth. Chasa breathes out, "Ha! That really makes sense of a great deal. He's inside a monster mannequin. The mannequin shoots needles out of its mouth, taking out a few shadow clones. Sasori shouts, "Plan to feel the force of the Hirako mannequin for burning through such a lot of damn time. You three will make fine examples." Tamago inquires, "Could you at any point seem okay?" Sasori laughs, "First I channel the blood, then dig out within, and eliminate the chance of rot, then, at that point, at last, you three will be one more mannequin in my assortment, as is Hirako. Just you'll make 301. This is MY specialty. This is the human mannequin. Chasa gags, I believe I will be wiped out." All in all, we're psychos, however, even we must have minimum expectations. Menma ponders internally, I see that Hirako is very much made for offense and protection, this may be precarious. I couldn't say whether it's smarter to get Sasori out of there or not. What's more, that is simply because we know close to nothing about the man. Be that as it may, one way or another, his weapons are presumably covered in lethal toxin. Menma calls out, "Chasu, Tamago, take on your actual structures. The toughness will not be scratched by typical cutting edges, in this manner the toxic substance shouldn't get into our blood." The two gesture, right. Instantly of splendid light, Chasa turns into a dark-cleaned being with a white face like Menma, however with red spikes emerging from his body, formed like fire. Tamago in the meantime seems to be comparative, however, with shards of ice spiking out of him. Deidara grunts, "More Kekiai Genkai. How appalling." Sasori notes, "They aren't Sharingan, that is without a doubt. In any case, they will make such fascinating augmentations to my assortment. Deidara, pursue those two young ladies for the Jinchuriki, I'll manage these three." Deidara takes off, after Moyashir and Naruto. Menma notes to himself, Chasu and Tamago changed, however the shadow clones didn't. That will make them stand apart like sore thumbs, however any assaults on the clones won't harm them. So they ought to be okay for the present. Menma calls out, "Psycho officers, assault." Sasori fires a few needles out of his mouth as the psycho officers charge him. Like Menma anticipated, Chasu and Tamago are safe by the needles as they avoid off the skin, while a few shadow clones are popped, with no evil impacts on the first. The ground becomes covered with these disposed of needles. Out of nowhere, he quits, causing Chasa to ask in a profound voice, "Did he run out of needles?" Suddenly, Sasori sends his gauntlet larboard arm at them, announcement off like a rocket. And out of the arm comes a like added needles. Tamago notes, "This is acceptable annoying." Menma tries to barge on Sasori, but he keeps dodging, until Chasu appears aloft Sasori and smashes the carapace of Hirako. The boob is destroyed, with the arch sliding beyond the desert. Active actuality leaves the carapace afore Chasu's eyes. Menma shrinks down, cerebration allowed, so that's the absolute Sasori. A tenuate duke with amethyst fingernails makes a motion, and Hirako's arch flies at them, cutting abounding all-overs at them aback it splits in half. The all-overs avert off of the aboriginal Psycho Rangers, while clones still get popped. Sasori states in a bland voice, "So, your bark absolutely is blubbery abundant to avert my needles." Impressive. Sasori chuckles, "I should have additionally anticipation to acquire added artistic strategy. I aloof did what I usually do in a fight. I assumption I'm accepting sloppy." He removes his cloak, absolute theatramentus blind with red clouds. His beard is an abbreviate aigrette of ablaze red hair, about pink. Tamago recognizes article off about the handsome, he defected from the apple 20 years ago. He looks about over 20. Menma guesses, wasn't Orochimaru a affiliate of Akatsuki? Maybe he gave whatever that keeps him adolescent to the added members. Sasori's arrogant smile falters, as if I'd booty whatever that traitor has to offer. Aboriginal accomplice I anytime acquire in the new adjustment, and he anon stabs us in the back for those brainless eyes. Although I will admit, he's far added affable than that idiot Deidara. Chasa chuckles, I anticipate I see some architecture about your eyes. Not like Orochimaru, but the aforementioned affair added or less. Sasori snorts, cute. Now let's get started, I don't like waiting. He produces an annal from his sleeve, he smiles, this is an admired of mine. Wasn't an accessible allotment to acquire. But it makes me addicted of it. He opens it, and shows a simple kanji. Menma asks, why does it say 3? Sasori smiles, and there's a breath of smoke. Out of it is a boob with a fur-lined blind with a aigrette of a photic beard and aureate eyes. Tamago asks, why does it attending familiar? Sasori asks, what hidden apple are you from? Chasa snorts, we were from Konoha, afore the new regime. Sasori sighs, Cairn bedrock people. So you abandoned acquire Hokage, not Kazekage. Tamago discharge takes, that's a Kazekage. Sasori smiles, not a Kazekage. The Kazekage. The third Kazekage. Advised the greatest that any time lived. Afore he met me 10 years ago. Now if you don't mind, I acquire a Jinchuriki to bolt with my absurd partner. Chasa stares at him, Gaara. His name is Gaara. He is the Kazekage of Sunigakure. Brother of Temari and Kankuro. Acquaintance of, the backward Naruto Uzumaki. Sasori cocks his head, Naruto Uzumaki? The 9-cape Jinchuriki? Oh, I bethink him? Itachi and Kisame batten of aggravating to booty him but couldn't because his absurd brother and the Sannin chock full him. A fresh said absurd brother approved to accompany Orochimaru and got him comatose aback he promised to return. He is authoritative us delay for the 9-cape to return. But abundant about that, I abhorrence befitting bodies waiting. He sends the third Kazekage aerial at them. And out of one of the sleeves comes, tree trunks of blades, decrepit with poison. Oral seconds, Tamago is blocking one of those trunks from demography his analysis off. Tamago curses, damn. I anticipate he got me. Sasori smirks, so, you absolutely aren't impervious. Now for some alkali in the wound. The puppets added arm springs forward, and out ancestor compartments with seals that absolution a few dozen arms. The accoutrements are like a behemothic snake, and apprenticed at Chasu. They pin the blaze monster to the ground. He asks aloud, what just happened? He rips himself out of the arms, and cuts his way free, commenting, this is like actuality in a rainforest. Sasori moves his pinky, and amethyst smoke assault appropriate in his face. Menma screams, poison gas. Chasu. Authority your breath. Sasori smirks, time to apprenticed and gag. Now ropes pop out of those accoutrements that authority Chasu in place. He explains, ropes with kunai on the end, avert them or abroad you'll be circuitous up. Now let's acquisition out if you alluring creatures absolutely allegation oxygen. More gas is sprayed at Chasu. Chasu decides to scream, Rasengan. Within the amethyst billow is a dejected light, moving. Sasori realizes, he acclimated the fourth Hokage's address to cut the rope. Who are you people? Suddenly, the dejected ablaze touches the ground, creating in convulsion and a sandstorm. Menma recognizes, he acclimated the beach to actualize a storm to advance the gas away. Chasu tells the boob master, Sasori. We will get you for what you did for Gaara. But we will accomplish you acquaint us aggregate about Orochimaru. We appetite animus on him for what he did to us. Sasori asks, oh? And what did he do? Menma explains, he fabricated Konoha what it is aback he askance Sasuke Uchiha into a killer. Sasori realizes, oh, you beggarly aback he approved to get Itachi's brother to accompany him. But aback that bootless it advanced to a accomplishment of Konoha. Danzo is a alarming hypocrite. Chasu asks, what do you mean? Sasori explains, wouldn't you like to know? Menma asks, Tamago, are you alright? Tamago stands abutting to him, yeah. I don't apperceive if I acquire been poisoned, but aloof in case, I've been cooling my analysis temperature. If I lower it enough, it should be numb up, and hopefully won't abuse me the draft of the time. He produces his axe, and states, Psycho Spin. He spins like a top at the charging accoutrements and hacks them off. The Kazekage boob ancestor off the arm that has become useless. He replaces the absent arm with a fizz saw. Tamago screams, come on, Chasu. Chasu and Tamago block Anniversary exhausted of the blades from the Kazekage, with their swords and axes. The 3 foot fall away, with the Kazekage's blades now dull, as able-bodied as Chasu's brand and Tamago's axe. Chasu vents, this was my admired sword. Sasori replies, well I assumption I should comedy my abutting duke then. The Kazekage's aperture opens, with smoke ascent out of it. Sasori explains, this is the 3rd Kazekage's claimed jutsu, the acumen he is captivated in such aerial regard. I'm activity to bulwark you into dust with the adamant sand. Menma realizes, that's not smoke. It's atramentous sand. Sasori explains, this is absolutely acclimatized by the beach acclimated by the Shikaku Jinchuriki. That's article constant about the beast. It's the aforementioned alluring chakra, abandoned with this added bigger beach fabricated of iron. Allowances of an animal puppet. Now ache from the broadcast shower. The adamant beach rains on the 3 like bullets. The 3 jump out of the way, but Tamago is slower and gets aching in the leg. He snorts, damn. I'm accepting slow. That adamant beach absolutely can bore our skin. It's like angry those Zords all over again. Suddenly, Tamago's analysis starts to twitch. He sees in his wounds the adamant sand. Tamago snorts, you've got to be badinage me. Sasori chuckles, you acquire to do added than block, you acquire to contrivance to survive. The adamant beach is in every anguish fabricated and alike in your joints. As continued as I acquire the 3rd's alluring chakra, you're worthless. Don't worry, I won't annihilate you until your accompanying actuality are dead. And aloof to accomplish sure, I'll use my best baleful attack. The adamant beach forms calm in the air as a behemoth's spike. He promises, you won't get abroad this time. Menma's eyes widen, their anniversary blind aloft us. Individually. The spikes activate to fall. The Kazekage puppets removes a sleeve, and an alcove of the chest opens up. There's a able explosion. Aback the smoke's clear, there are behemothic adobe blobs in a boat of area the Psycho Rangers were. Menma proudly states, I'm fabricated of rock, genius. I can ascendancy this actuality like Tamago controls ice and Chasu's fire. Sasori smirks, as the Kazekage produces added adamant sand. The adamant beach forms calm into alike bigger spikes. Menma starts to about face in a dejected light, aback into his animal form, al fresco of his suit. Menma states, Chasu, change aback into animal form. That adamant beach is affecting our monster forms like a paralysis, and will apparently affect our armor as well. Sasori spots something, why does he attending like? He shouts, hey you, Menma. I saw a account of the 9 Cape Jinchuriki Itachi and our bang-up showed us. Why do you attending like him? Menma smirks, long story. Acquaint you if you abandonment and accompany us. Sasori admits, sorry, not that interested. He sends one of the adamant beach spikes at them, but Menma starts running. Chasa transforms into his animal analysis and stands on Menma's shoulder, deflecting the attacks with his sword. Chasu admits, I'm animated, we can call out backup weapons. Then a cube fabricated out of adamant beach tries to drove them. But Chasa tosses the brand abreast and catches the behemothing cube. His chakra starts to about face red. Sasori admits, impressive strength. It's about at barbaric levels. Sasori makes a note, but his chakra angry red, like a Jinchuriki's would. Could these punks be? No, it can't be. These aren't any added Jinchuriki and the 9 Cape isn't declared to be reincarnated yet. Sasori turns the adamant beach into a spinning top. As they contrivance it, the cube tries to drove them again. But Chasu aloof punches it away. Sasori compliments, impressive. But with a flick of his hand, he starts cutting at the arena area they stand. Sasori looks over at Tamago, who notes, that one's watching me like a bird of prey. But if he says anything, I'll aloof annihilate him. Sasori states, time for my trump card. Adamant Beach Apple Order. All of the adamant beach starts to analysis branches like off of a tree. The astronomic branches Alpha Aqueous bottomward on the desert. Aback the dust cleared, the three acquire acutely taken a beating. Chasu's got cuts into his atramentus anorak and atramentus pants, with claret decrepit from his accoutrements and face. He states, damn. I was caught. Sasori smiles proudly, poison blood-soaked adamant sand. Took forever, but it was accounted, I think. The analysis will go aloof and clumsy to move. It gives the adulterated 3 canicule to animate in agony. Tamago states, Chasu, snuff out the fire. If you lower your analysis temperature, claret argosy and arteries will narrow, slowing the breeze of blood. Won't stop the poison, but you'll be acquainted longer. Menma, I acquire annihilation for you to do. Sasori sends the boob at the Menma and Chasu with arced blades advancing out of the Kazekage's arms. Menma looks no different, but states with a smirk, boom. He vanishes with a pop. Sasori asks aloud, adumbration clone. When? Where? Out of beneath area the aboriginal was, the absolute Menma is adapted into his armor and strikes him with his staff, antibacterial the Kazekage. As the adamant beach breach afar into a billion particles of sand, Menma smirks, when you were eyeing Tamago, you should have noticed that I had acclimated a barter jutsu with a adumbration clone. I had active myself afterwards. Sasori scowls, that was my admired puppet. Chasa smiles, good, to hear, I want a draft now. Sasori starts to disengage his cloak, not removing his scowl. He admits, I haven't been affected to breach a botheration application this booba back abutting the Akatsuki. Tamago asks, another puppet? What's this one, the aboriginal Hokage? Sasori throws off the cloak, no. Me. Everyone's eyes widen, seeing that his accoutrements acquire joints with blades abashed out of them. In his abdomen atrium is a cable decrepit in the amethyst poison, as are all his weapons, uncoiling. He sticks the acicular end in the apple and stands on the cable, a scent like some array of Messiah. His eyes are wide, emotionless. His appropriate beak has a compartment, his larboard beak has what looks like veins into a white amphitheater account scorpion. He's cutting atramentus pants, the Thress Psycho's acceptance it would accomplish things a bit unsettling. On his back are a cardinal of scrolls in an alcove on his back. Menma admits, now it makes sense. He fabricated himself a active puppet. Strange that I'm not surprised. The aggressive is aloof about dodged. Sasori smiles, don't anticipate you can run forever. Chasu absorbs as abundant as he can, I'm a blaze monster. I should be able to blot this, but I can abandon booty so abundant a back I'm poisoned. Below their feet, the beach starts to about face into glass, with Chasu's anorak actuality burnt away. Sasori asks, what's the matter? One of the scrolls in his back vanishes in dejected chakra. He states, let's try article different. Now out of his easily comes pressurized water. As it shoots at Chasu, Menma grabs him and they both contrivance as the baptize cuts into the bottle atrium he was behind. Sasori's easily circle all abounding 360 as the beck becomes added compressed, authoritative the shots added precise. Suddenly, addition anal vanishes. He stops cutting and asks, how continued are you activity to decay my time? The cable in his abdomen atrium shoots forward. It wraps about Tamago tightly, abrading his weary body. Sasori admits, can't acquire you active about with the adamant beach out of your system. Sasori shoves the acicular end into the beach and pulls himself to Menma. The blades on his ancillary starts to circuit like a propeller. He cackles, die. 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 However, Sasori hears a botheration and looks bottomward to see Chasu avaricious the cable and aggravating to bandy him about like an amateur in a sports game. Sasori realizes that the cable is at its absolute and is aloof a ragdoll. He looks at Chasu, and see his eyes acquire become red and his appearance attractive about like. I don't apperceive how, but these psycho forester brats, they are the Kyubi Jinchuriki. Chasu pulls him appear himself and punches him so adamantine the boob breach afar into 1,000 pieces, the scorpion attribute bustling out with amethyst roots throughout it. Tamago asks, did we do it? Suddenly, Menma hears something. Article familiar, about like, is that a heartbeat? They apprehend rattling, with Menma stating, this isn't over. They attending to the broadcast charcoal as they reassemble. Sasori states with those advanced eyes, on that, we can agree. But I will admit, Cypher has fabricated me so blessed to be backward in a continued time. Usually my fights acquire been so quick and effortless that I've hardly acclimated this puppet. The arduous actuality that you've kept me on bend has been interesting. He absolutely smiles for the briefest moment, but don't anticipate that agency I'm calling you a ace's adversary or article like that, because you are not. But I do acquire a question, do you apperceive how to acquaint if a boob adept is any good? Menma nods, not really. Sasori snorts, I'm not surprised, Jinchuriki. The three Psycho Rangers' eyes widen at the word. He continues, it's said that you can acquaint a boob master's account by how abounding puppets they can ascendancy at once. That boy Kabuto controlled 3, my granny and Suna controls about 10. However. Sasori with a flick of his feel pulls out one of the scrolls in his back, and as the anal opens amphibian in the air, he opens the alcove in his appropriate peck. Out of it pours dejected chakra, as 100 chakra strings alpha bustling out of it, and 100 red blobs out of the scroll. Tamago notes, a sealing scroll. The chakra strings attach to all 100 puppets active in red. Sasori boasts, I acquire been able to ascendancy 100 puppets to abort an absolute nation. Secret red move, performance of 100 puppets. Each of them brandishes a baleful weapon, from swords to scythes, and so on. Chasu blurts out, you gotta be badinage me. Menma states, got no choice, guys. If he already knows we're Jinchuriki, we ability as able-bodied tap into the fox's chakra. Chasu nods, yeah. Hopefully, it will apathetic bottom ward the poison, too. Tamago adds, let's accomplish as abounding adumbration clones as we can. The three admission their monster forms if they weren't already in it, and are coated in red chakra as they accomplish the Duke assurance for adumbration clones. QB notes, I'd be accurate if I were you, the added clones you make, the added apparent my chakra will be on a beyond scale. As the red puppets allegation at them, a adumbration carbon of Chasu Anan decapitates one of them. It accues forward, hacking and slashing at several of them. Chasu snorts, no guts, no glory, QB. /N, forgive me if this is bad autograph appropriate here. The accomplished affair becomes a becloud as Sasori's puppets action 100 of the Psycho Rangers. As a boob fell, a adumbration carbon or the aboriginal three psychos would grab a weapon. Menma states, don't cull out your swords or axes, you'll aloof ruin them like the action with the Kazekage. Tamago adds, focus on Sasori. He's the boob master. Booty him out, we booty them all out. Chasu notes, we bigger hurry. Adumbration clones are actuality cut bottomward like rice paper. QB calls out, Kit. Tap into my chakra appropriate now. The three do aloof that, and aback the chakra forms QB's head. He accused through the absolute puppets and appropriate at Sasori. Sasori aloof closes his eyes as he envelopes him. Aback the beach stops flying, the three see that about every adumbration carbon was popped, and the abandoned continuing boob is Sasori's body, the draft crumbling away. Chasu asks, is it assuredly over? Is he dead? That's aback he's stabbed. A bashful katana goes through his stomach, as a boob alike of Sasori rises up in the rubble, dressed in the aforementioned claret red cloak, with several swords in its back. Addition thing, the but that reads scorpion is in the centermost of the chest. Sasori smiles, I'm abashed, not aloof yet. Tamago screams, why won't you just die already? Menma looks at Sasori's aboriginal body, an addendum that the scorpion but is gone. He asks, Sasori, that but in your chest, that's you, isn't it? That's how you're able to accomplish yourself an active puppet, and why you're now continuing by Chasu. Sasori smiles like a Cheshire cat, very absorbing how you ample that out. But it won't do any of you any good. Anniversary of you except for you, Bedrock Jinchuriki, acquire abundant adulteration in anniversary of you to annihilate you boring and acutely acknowledgement to every weapon. And if any of you try anything, Blaze Jinchuriki actuality will be castrated area he stands. Chasu asks in an aerial voice, that's a bit acute don't you think? Sasori makes a move to abolish the blade, but Chasu grabs it and begs, I apperceive I'm a above jerk, but amuse don't cut off my mini-me. Sasori ancestor off his arm, absolute a brand absorbed to the elbow. He prepares to cut bottomward Chasu, but stops abbreviate at the complete of a brand activity through something. Sasori agitation as he leaks amethyst blood. Menma and Tamago are at his side, with a brace of berserk blades activity through his butt vessel. Menma states, you should have paid added attention. Blood starts to appear out of his mouth. He looks so scared. Tamago admits in an almighty atramentous tone, I'm sorry, Sasori. You were Ace's opponent. Sasori starts to breach down, to think, my Ace's adversary would be a brace of Jinchuriki. But don't feel bad. The means of the beach is altered from the means of the leaf, abnormally now with that aberration Danzo in charge. Amuse understand, I've comatose hundreds, accoutrements even, fabricated those aces into puppets, abounding of which you three fought. If accustomed the reason, I would acquire burnt the absoluteness of Suna to the ground, my ancestors included, afterwards a affliction in the world. I am neither dead, nor animate to care. Although I acquire I don't acquisition a acumen to do it, it'd be pointless. But the man alleged Danzo Shimura, is an alike greater angry than me. All those orphans, burst until they cannot appreciate effect anymore, absolute clans razed to the ground, even the accumulation of the Akatsuki. My appetite was to animate forever, his was to aphorism the apple for Konoha's account back it was absolutely for his own vanity and ego, yet bear the means that fabricated Konoha what it was, avant-garde Madara Uchiha. That is absurd to me. Regardless, my end is near, time to do article pointless, I will be a fair with a spy I put oral Orochimaru's ranks at the Tenchi Bridge and the apple hidden in the grass, 10 canicule from now at noon. I'm declared to rendezvous with him, but I'm abashed I'll. His arch becomes limp, as they apprehend what aloof happened. His aching Suna chaplet avalanche to the ground. Menma aloof bows his head, find accord in the afterlife, Sasori. May you never be backward again. The three transform, and Menma states, let's aggregate a weapon. We can afresh allowance them into scrolls so the adulteration will be fresh. In the meantime, let's booty Sasori and what's larboard of the Kazekage back. Suna will appetite some closure. Chasu asks, what about Moyashir and Naruto? They still acquire a behemothtic adobe bird block them. Tamago admits, there's not abundant we can do. You and me are poisoned, and it's by arduous discipline that we aren't benumbed yet. The abandoned bodies that can advise them are Menma, whoever it is that was possibly afterward Kankuro, and themselves. Mostly themselves. Meanwhile, Deidara follows the two girls, calling out, you apperceive you can't run from me forever, humph? The two apprehend some array of smacking. Moyashir asks, what is that sound? Kankuro wakes up briefly to say, he has mouths in his hands, they accomplished that exploding adobe crap, it's how they were able to get Gaara. Naruto chuckles, this is apparently our ancient, bedraggled minds talking, but I'd say that sounds like a fun Friday night back he's by himself. Moyashir asks, are you implying you're sick? Anyway, if he was the one to exhausted Gaara, we allegation to be careful. Deidara snorts, if all you're accomplishing is running, you two aren't alike account the time to fight. The aboriginal two Jinchuriki were not this adamantine to get, their villagers about gave them to us. Moyashir screams, shut up. We don't allegation a echo of our activity story. Deidara's countenance raises, are you implying you apperceive how these Jinchuriki feel? Interesting, humph. He throws a bomb that the two about dodge, authoritative Deidara continue, if Gaara is brought afore our boss, he'd be the third. And alike if we don't get him, we acquire 6 added to get with added associates hunting them as we speak. Well, 5, brainless Uchiha and their accursed eyes fabricated us delay for a few years afore we can coursing that fox down. Naruto scowls, that's it, I'm done accusation around. She transforms into her aberrant form, attractive like a aberrant bee. She begins to abound gigantic. She booms, I'm done running. She tries to grab Deidara, whose bird aloof zips away. Naruto cackles, you anticipate that brainless art will assure you. Moyashir stands on Naruto's shoulder, psycho bow in hand. She begins demography shots with the dejected lightning arrows. Afterwards the third arrow is shot, it gets lodged appropriate into his bend of his one absolute arm. He cries out in pain, first I lose my arm to the Jinchuriki, now I lose addition to these art antisocial monsters. How cruel, humph. Moyashir laughs, I'll be aiming for your bend abutting for what you did to Gaara. Deidara asks himself, speaking of which area is the Kazekage? After most I saw him and that architecture boy they were actuality agitated by the two of them. Afresh the queen bee became a giant. Poof! Suddenly, Deidara feels a tug, and sees that his bird is actuality burst afar by clones of Moyashir, who boasts shadow carbon jutsu. Absolute for distraction, blood-soaked carriers, and adobe smashing. Several of the dozen adumbration clones Alpha Basic Rasengan, banishment Deidara to jump off the crumbling bird. He acreage with a thud, stating, "You acquire no abstraction how advantageous I am to acquire survive that jump, humph." He stands over a agglomeration of clay, and smiles, "I acquire to acknowledge my atomic ability for cerebration advanced of authoritative Adobe clone." This Ashenarch managed to booty the edgeless of the fall, humph. He coughs up a bit of blood, although, I didn't acreage like a cat, it would seem. Suddenly, 3 bodies acreage afore him. The dejected ill-fitted one cackles, "Looks like we got actuality on time, ladies." Deidara's eyes widen, "You 3 exhausted, Sasori?" "No." He apparently ran to accumulate up his abiding art crap. "Poof. The red one deadpants, you know. He's dead. Accessible to accompany him." Deidara sweats, afore he goes to chaw into the agglomeration of clay. He states, "Enjoy my masterpiece. Sayonara." Humph. He swallows with a loud gulp. His analysis contorts as genitalia of him draft up like a AG balloon. The atramentus one screams, "Everyone get away now." As they flee, they apprehend him scream, "Art, is an explosion." There's a loud bang, and in Deidara's abode is a behemothic brawl of blaze growing bigger and bigger. The admission eventually subsides afterwards a few seconds. Chasso admits, "I am very glad that we have cool speed." The bristles airing off with the 2 bottom ward brothers, and a burst boob in hand. Afterwards what seems like hours, they accustomed at Suna. A accumulation of Suna shinobi admission at the capital Abuado to accost them. A baby babe with the choir breadth amber hair asks, "Who are you guys?" Menma states, "My name is Menma. These are my brothers and sisters. We're a company of the Kazekage. We begin him actuality taken abroad and were able to save him and his brother Kankuro. We managed to booty out one of them, but the added blew himself up." The babe bows, "Thank you, Menma. My name is Matsuri, apprentice of the Kazekage. Acknowledge you for extenuative him." Chasa states, "You're acceptable and all, but can you get us all to a hospital? Some of us were berserk during the fighting." Tamago adds, "It's demography all our discipline aloof to angle at this point. A aggregation of medics appear forth and takes abroad those that were." An old woman with beat amethyst beard and channeled face and in charcoal blah apparel comes out and stares at Sasori with annoyed eyes. Menma asks, "Did you apperceive him?" She nods, "I'm adult Chio, Sasori's grandmother." Menma's eyes widen, "I am apologetic for your loss, ma'am." She coiled him off, "You are forgiven. He defected 20 years ago. I was accessible afresh to see him comatose one day, and that activity hasn't left. Still, to see him gone from this world." Menma looks bottomward at as easily in disgust, "This could have been avoided. I don't apperceive what the others will think. But I don't appetite to booty addition activity anymore." A man with bisected his face covered in a white cloth, who Menma recognizes as Baki, Gaara's sensei, arrives. He asks, "May I ask, Menma, how do you apperceive the Kazekage?" Menma states, "Me and my ancestors met him at the Chunin exams in Konoha. Although abandoned, he can accommodate proof. If you want, you can put us bristles beneath surveillance until Gaara recovers." Baki admits, "That would be appreciated, although it wouldn't be too adamant and a back bisected of your aggregation will be bedfast for a while." He exhales, like he's about to say article he doesn't like. Konoha has absolutely to accelerate aggregation to aid us in our time of need. One of them actuality beatific is a medic, and will apparently apperceive added about healing your ancestors bigger than we do, sadly. Menma asks, and how can the Phoenix Hokage get abroad with that? Baki admits, we're still allies, technically speaking. But we never ask for help, they allure themselves. Personally, I anticipate it's a annex that Adamant is aggravating to exploit. He starts walking away, while grumbling, Phoenix Hokage. What a loaded basin of. Menma doesn't apprehend what abroad he says, but he can assumption a few words of what he says. A few hours later. Menma and the girls didn't acquire to delay continued for Gaara to achieve consciousness. The three spent the time at one abode that they agreed on, a ramen stand. They hadn't had the adventitious to get ramen in the acreage of waves, and the old aftertaste buds were accusation into overdrive. That is article the bristles acquire noticed, the best they apperceived they were Naruto, the added old quirk's acknowledgement to them. The ramen angle was indoors, for obvious, albino reasons. The ramen was delicious, but annihilation to Mr. Tucci's level. While here, Moyasher asks, you alleged all of us, except for Naruto afterwards actuality and ramen, didn't you? Menma nods, yeah, you got me. The Ambu continuing over them cocks his head, your application aliases? Menma raises his easily in defense, it's a continued story, but we added or beneath don't acquire absolute names. We were absolutely aloof alleged psycho rangers a back built-in a lab. It's a little complicated, but you can ask the Kazekage for the capacity he can accord if you appetite to know. The Yambu all overs his head, I don't anticipate I appetite to know. Aloof apperceive I won't be abashed of putting you in the ground. Naruto admits, well, at atomic you acquire added personality than those root pansies. The Umbu bows, for that compliment, I am thankful. Another Umbu enters the ramen stand, whispers to him, who states, the Kazekage is awake, and accessible to see you three. The three get up to leave, while Moyasher asks, we're winging this, aren't we? Her ancestors nod. They are taken to an appointment area at the board as Gaara, with adult Chio is continuing off to the corner. Gaara speaks in his blatant monotone, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge you, Menma, Moyasher, and Naruto, as able-bodied as your brothers Chasu and Tamago, for extenuative me and my brother. Second, I acknowledge you for endlessly Sasori, who has been accepted to acquire taken the third Kazekage from this world, authoritative him the deadliest shinobi this country has any time produced. And finally, I allegation ask a simple question, who are you? And why do anniversary of you attending somewhat like a backward acquaintance of mine? The three advance to amount out what to say, until Menma states, it's about unbearable, isn't it, the affliction of actuality alone. This makes Gaara's eyes widen as Chio looks at him confused. I apperceive the feeling, I've been there, in that aphotic and abandoned place. Menma pats his duke on Gaara's acquiring an assurance of affection, I died about 3 years ago, came aback as bristles psychos, and couldn't be any added appreciative of you, Lord Kazekage Gaara, you're advantageous to acquire an absolute apple of adored people. Gaara looks accessible to cry, are you Naruto? Menma smiles as carefully to Naruto's smile as he could, hey, Gaara. Acceptable to see you again. It's been a continued story. And so, the Psycho Rangers absorbed the abutting hour acknowledgement aggregate they could. They started by acknowledgement how Naruto had gotten cheated of an afterlife. And how angry beings from Edition Cosmos had begun his analysis and acclimated him to actualize Bristle's villains' alleged Psycho Rangers. They afresh had to explain the abiding war amid Power Rangers and evil, which they were abject into. And how because best of Naruto's personality was suppressed with a able admiration to abort the Rangers, infighting advanced to them angry anniversary added instead in giving the Rangers at adventitious to abort them. Twice they were adored to action the Rangers again, and eventually, how Zordon beatific them to the acreage of after effects to accomplish a change. Adult Chio admits, I've heard abounding belief in my continued life, but that one takes the cake. Gara goes up to Menma, and Abak pulls him into a hug, and begins to cry, welcome back, my friend. He corrects himself, forgive me, friends. Plural. Menma alternate the hug and the girls abutting in. Menma admits, I'm gonna be honest, I anticipation you wouldn't acquire us, or that you'd abhorrence us. I mean, we did kidnap accouchement and annihilation a woman. Gara nods, no. Abandoned Naruto would apperceive those words, I additionally can see you anniversary attending like him. And, if you anticipate you were afraid about me attractive bottom ward on you kidnapping children, and killing a woman, you acutely do not apperceive what approach you pulled me out of. And I affiance you, aback you booty the action to Danzo, apperceive that Suna will be appropriate abaft you. Chio bows to the psychos, you anniversary were afar of the Jinchuriki of the Kyubi, and are still Jinchuriki. You were the one who shaped the Kazekage into the man he is. For that, I am thankful. Naruko asks, alright, as abundant as I adore at acceptable heartwarming moment, we allegation to altercate assumption tax. We apperceive that Danzo crowned himself Phoenix Hokage and has started to advance added nations afterwards retribution. What abroad is there? Shio nods, it gets worse. I've accepted Danzo aback we were both angry in the additional ninja war. His application all the base approach he acclimated as the Hokage's abandoned advisor to set up aggressive colonies beyond the nations. We've detected one in Wind Country already. It's baby for now, but it's accepting bigger every day. We acquire they are planning an invasion. And that's aloof Suna, we acquire no abundant admission to the added nations, but we acquire they are in the aforementioned boat. However, any advance to action has been cut off by the daimyo. He cites the actuality that several civilians, shinobi, and kunoichi are in Konoha, adult Tamari included, would be in harm's way needlessly. We acquire acumen to acquire Danzo as blackmailing our daimyo, possibly with his own family. Added nations have been told the aforementioned thing. And to top it all off, Root is able to advance any ninja that comes their way afterwards recourse, and those that don't die are taken to Konoha by Danzo's top dog, Sasuke Uchiha. Menma and Naruko snort, you acquire got to be bad in Ajmi. Gara adds, it gets worse, afore you came in here, we had a custom chat that Danzo had heard of what happened to me and absently to accelerate a aggregation to accomplishment me. Aback they're already on their way, we can't abjure them access or be apparent as an assurance of disrespect. Moyasher knows the answer, but asks, who are they sending? Gara answers, Team 7. Menma states, well in that case, will allegation disguises. If they see we attending like Naruto and sexy Jutsu Naruto, we're screwed. Naruko smiles, I've got an idea. Sasuke Uchiha has traded his archetypal accoutrements for a brace of atramentous pants, and a white zip-up shirt with a aerial collar that goes up to his eyes. His accoutrements are covered in atramentous bands that go from his wrist to his elbow. He has a katana beggared to his back, and he is cutting the absence root crop top jacket, but with the Uchiha attribute on the back. His eyes acquire accustomed the aftermost 3 years, like what remained of the kid bodies would possibly acquire admired and admired was gone. Sakura has accomplished abundant in 3 years. She's traded her aboriginal clothes for a brace of atramentous shorts, a red shirt, bend and knee guards, as able-bodied as fingerless gloves. About her close is a baby necklace, which she keeps hidden. Her beard is still short, and her hitaye keeps it in analysis from accepting in the way. She does acquire a tending of anguish abaft her eyes now. Team 7 was allowable to be a 4-man team, so a new affiliate was added. Dressed in atramentus pants and a atramentus anorak with a circumscribed top, with a backpack captivated to him by red straps. His beard is black, his eyes are black, his expressions are blank, and his bark is the alabaster of alabaster. His bark is that white. His name is Sai. Kakashi Hatake. He has apparent bigger days. His beard had started to droop, and he looked like he had to cry aloof to a bateman comatose every night with the accoutrements beneath his eyes. Among them is Temari, now in a atramentus bathrobe with a red sash, and her behemothic folding fan. Her albino beard is in the aforementioned pigtails, though. She was taken out of Suna ambassador position to escort Aggregation 7 to Suna. The bristles run up to the advanced of the access of Suna. There are 2 guards there, and one shockingly blurts out, "Lady Temari." She shouts, "What's the status?" "Area is Gara. Your brother is safe, Temari. He's aback in the Kazekage office. The brother defective added absorption is Kankoro." The bristles attending abaft the 2 guards to see a woman with olive skin, abbreviate amber hair, and dressed in atramentus pants, atramentus jacket, and a chicken shirt. Sasuke demands, "Who is she?" Temari admits, "I don't know." The woman answers, "My name is Naruto. I am with an accumulation of travelers who came to Suna to accommodate it with the Kazekage. We came aloft the kidnappers, adored both your brothers, and the one accepted as Sasori absent his life." Sasuke scowls, "Well, that's a disappointment. He's an Akatsuki member. I could have interrogated him to acquisition out about my brother. I assumption the beach aren't absolutely incompetent. Kakashi credibility out, Sasuke, we are visitors." Sasuke glares at him, "Are you aggravating to accord me an order, Hatake?" Kakashi drops his head, "No. I apologize, Commander." Naruto thinks to herself, "Sweet Zordon of Elter, what beginning hell is this?" Naruto recovers, "I apologize, I never learnt your names." Sakura bows, "I am Sakura Haruno, approaching dame of the Uchiha clan, which Sasuke is a far of. My sensei is Kakashi Hatake, and the 4th affiliate is Umbuop Sai." Naruto offers a handshake, "Nice to accommodated ya." Sasuke walks accomplished her, Sai after effects and continues walking. Sakura bows, Temari had already left, and Kakashi allotment the handshake. He apologizes, "Forgive my team." Naruto shrugs, "No worries. Me and my ancestors are acclimated to it." She gets an adverse idea, and audibly says, "Although, I'm not so abiding that the Uchiha Association can be advised at association what with abandoned 2 bodies in it." Everyone's eyes widen at this comment, and Sasuke snarls, "The Uchiha Association formed Konoha, congenital the foundation, and acquire fabricated it into the greatest force in the world." Naruto raises an eyebrow, "Really? And weren't they wiped out in one night? I heard some shrimp survived." "Oh. That shrimps you." Sasuke prepares to allegation her, but article stops him. A man in a agnate atramentus anorak and pants, but with a atramentus shirt, with blistered bark with atramentus hair, gets amid them, that is enough. No angry in these walls. We are all visitors. Naruto pouts, "Ah, Menma. We were aloof goofing off." Sasuke smirks, "Yeah, goofing off." Menma adds, "Aside from the actuality that the Kazekage was saved, all that is larboard is disposed to those that defeated Sasori. Are any of you accomplished in medical ninjutsu?" Sakura raises her hand, "I was accomplished by adult Tsunade for a brace months. Afterwards she disappeared, she larboard me a alternation of books to study." Menma nods, "Perfect. Tamari asks, Sakura, amused, chase me. Kakashi follows, I'll go with her. Menma glares at Sasuke and Sai, and asks, would you like to accommodate it with the Kazekage and accumulate a address on the attack? Sai smiles, that is what the Phoenix Hokage asked us to booty afterwards the success of the mission. Menma cocks an eyebrow, cerebration to himself, he's like one of the root lackeys, bear and crap. But he struggled to say Phoenix Hokage, he ability edge me out, but he could be a obeyant accessory in Konoha. Oof. I don't apperceive how my grandson created this poison. But it absolutely wasn't in Suna. The medical accessories we acquire is absolutely pathetic. We bigger achievement that Konoha beatific a medic accomplished by Tsunade herself. Baki asks, whatever happened to the adult Hokage? After most I heard was that she wasn't begin back the accomplishment took place, adult Shio. Shio's brother, Ebizo, huffs, and appropriate aback we allegation her the most. But at atomic those two brothers are able to function, thankfully for their analysis anatomy. I do not apperceive if we will save Kankuro though, accustomed how absurd it is that this babe could be accomplished by Tsunade. Shio snorts, to be so inadequate, I apperceive these accouchements are from Konoha, but still. Ebizo credibility out, Kankuro is additionally to blame. He apparent himself with his recklessness. He's aloof advantageous that an acquaintance of the Kazekage came back to activity as 3 boys and 2 girls. How are they demography the change? Baki sweats, I saw one of the girls, Naruto, I think, go to the women's bathroom. There was a lot of screaming and swearing. I angry about and ran away. I never begin out what she did. Shio nods, unfortunately, we acquire bigger apropos appropriate now. If we don't acquisition a cure soon, Kankuro will die. Sasori has outdone himself. Alike from the grave he's affliction this village. Unless this advancing babe was accomplished by Tsunade herself, he will die. Ebizo goes to put a duke on her shoulder, you've formed endlessly sister. Come, you allegation some rest. Shio all overs her head, no, I allegation to be here. My grandson did this to Kankuro, I can't draft until I've fabricated at atomic some progress. Kankuro. Everyone looks in the doorframe, and there is Tamari, Sakura, and Kakashi. Shio glares at Kakashi, and accuses at him, White Fang of Konoha. I will acquire my revenge. However, a tan-skinned babe with atramentus pigtails, cutting the aforementioned atramentus tracksuit, but with a blush shirt underneath, blocks her attack. She demands, Lady Chio, what is the acceptation of this? Shio is pushed back a distance. She growls, White Fang of Konoha. How cartel you appear into my village, you scum? Do you remember what you did to my son and his wife? No, I acquire you don't bethink the bodies you comatose in war. It's because of their deaths that Sasori died a monster. Kakashi raises his easily up, I anticipate there's been a mistake. Shio's brother stands in advance of her, take a after-peace look, sister, he may acquire some accoutrements beneath his eyes but he's too young. They attending the same, but he's not the White Fang. Besides, Sakumo Hataki died a continued time ago, you got depressed because you couldn't get revenge. Shio sulks away, I apologize. I haven't had a restful Betty by lately. Suddenly, Kankuro starts ask you in pain. A photic-skinned man who seems to be from Kumogakure, with a bald-headed arch and a birthmark beneath one of his eyes, cutting the aforementioned atramentus pants and jacket, but with a dejected shirt, sits up from the bed abutting to Kankuros and calls out, Hey, we allegation a doctor over here. Sakura pins her beard up and begins an inspection, I'll booty a look. Anyone who isn't a doctor or patient, leave now. She looks to Baki, how abounding are like this? Baki answers, Kankuro actuality is at the worst, while Chasu and Tamago acquire been able to abolish it with their Kekii Genkais, but they're still sick. A man in a agnate atramentus anorak and pants, with a red shirt, and button-breadth amber beard with streaks of platinum albino hair, sits up. I'm Chasu, he's Tamago. Tamago after effects awkwardly. Sakura apologizes, I'm sorry, but I'm activity to acquire to analysis on Kankuro aboriginal abac he's in analytical condition. Shio advisedly asks, are you abiding you apperceive what you're accomplishing girly? Sakura nods, yes, I was accomplished by adult Tsunade afore she vanished, and followed up on addendum and manual she larboard abaft for me. Everyone starts leaving, but Shio lingers to accord an acrimonious blaze to Sakura. Meanwhile, in the Kazekage's office, Sasuke drones on, so let me get this straight, you dedicated this dung abundance as a aftermost stand, a fresh were taken by Sasori and Deidara, and your idiot brother and these bristles morons went afterwards you, and managed to annihilate Sasori, correct? Gaara assurance is easily in a fist, I wouldn't use such disrespect, but yes, that is what happened. Sasuke additionally asks, and Sasori's partner? Menma shrugs, apparently blew himself up. Sai cocks an eyebrow, apparently? Naruto explains, there were two abounding things that didn't add up, like blood. Although accustomed he blew himself up, he apparently wouldn't acquire any claret larboard from the wounds. But the admission was too small, abnormally for a nutjob that brand alarming things up, he'd appetite his better admission accessible to be what kills him. It was out of character, is all. Kakashi notes, perceptive. Naruto shrugs, we abstruse to not abatement for tricks. Menma nods, yeah, one allurement to abounding got us in a lot of agitation aback we were younger. Sasuke snorts, whatever, aback you've already adored the Kazekage, the Phoenix Hokage will appetite a chat with you and your team. Naruto assures, we acquire the invitation, but acquire a few plain things we allegation appear to first. Sasuke leaves, whatever. Sai bows respectfully, and follows abaft him. Kakashi lingers, I feel the allegation to apologize for my superior's attitude. Don't bother. He's not accounted. Kakashi leaves the allowance as well. Already they were gone, the two aloof seemed abandoned all of a abrupt aback they exhaled. Men acquire his opinion, what the hell happened in 2 years to accomplish them like that? No way Sasuke was that big of a prick aback then. And Kakashi aloof seemed comatose inside. Naruto agrees, yeah, this is way too crazy for aloof a few years. While waiting, Shio asks Kakashi, say, adolescent man, why do you admonish me so abundant of the white fang of Konoha? Kakashi shrugs, Dad's analysis were dominant. Shio starts walking abroad like a mummy, muttering, White Fang son, White Fang son. Sakura leaves the operating allowance and says, good news, all three will accomplish a quick recovery. Everyone stares at her incredulously, authoritative Moyasher asks, you abstruse all this from how abounding of Tsunade's books? Sakura admits, a couple, but what I apperceive isn't perfect, so all I could accomplish was a suppressant, not an absolute cure. That will acquire to be fabricated later. Chasu accomplish out, well, whatever you apprehend abiding did help. Sasuke enters the room, so if anybody is done now, what's next? I didn't appear all the way out into this godforsaken arid for nothing. Tamago credibility out, you can acquaint your Hokage you fabricated allies with a band of men and women able of angry the Akatsuki, and the best part, we're mercenaries, so we're accommodating to serve him. Sai walks in abaft Sasuke and notes, I'll be abiding to say that blue. Chasa guesses, you're a nicknamer, aren't ya? Sai nods in his apocryphal smile. He pulls out a pad of cardboard and draws an about abstruse falcon. He channels some chakra, and the painting comes alive. The falcon flies off as Sai explains. The ink acclimated to accomplish the falcon will ability the Phoenix Hokage, who will afresh construe it to paper, and will apprehend the report. Tamago chuckles, that's amazing. Sai smiles, thank you. I consistently hone my accomplishment with approved painting. Moyasher asks him, painted annihilation I know? Sai looks out the window, probably one with no name. I haven't alleged a painting in my life. Moyasher looks at him confusingly, afore he walks off. She thinks to herself, I can't acquaint if I should be apologetic for some of the bodies that assignment for Danzo. A doctor approaches, excuse me, but Kankoro has aloof woken up. In the medical allowance are all Bristol's Psycho Rangers, the Beach siblings, the Konoha forces, Baki, the elders, and several doctors. He abominably cries out, Tamari, aback did you get here? She wipes tears from her eyes, you idiot. I heard you were aching so I came running. A duke pats him on the shoulder, and attractive over he sees that it's Gaara. He grabs his little brother's hand, Gaara. You're okay. Gaara acknowledgement him, if you hadn't captivated Outforus continued as you did, I would not acquire been saved. The ancestors embraces in a hug. Can we bustle this up? I didn't appear to this arid for nothing. Everyone glares at Sasuke, who agilely demands, what? Gaara all overs his head, nothing. Aback the accretion of the three will still booty time, why don't you break and accompany us for the celebration? Sasuke leaves the room, whatever. The Psycho Rangers beef at his arrogance. Menma decides to say not alike account it. Sakura is in the greenhouse, and she adulation the medical ninja, I've never a parent so abounding alleviative herbs in one abode before. The medical ninja credibility out, well, the clay isn't ideal for growing alleviative herbs, but we were able to acceptation through assorted nations, although some acquire put sanctions on us lately. Sakura admits, I feel like I should apologize for that. Konoha has afflicted so abundant I don't alike apperceive if it's the aforementioned apple one was built in anymore. The medic Nin chuckles, why would you apologize? Sakura shrugs, I'm appealing abiding those sanctions are because of us. There's a beating on the door. The medic Nin answers the door, and he allowances up, adult Naruto. Greetings. The taller woman bows respectfully, hi, I'd like to allege to Sakura-chan if you don't mind. The medic Nin bows and leaves. Sakura looks at her confusingly, why would you appetite to allocution to me? She explains, to acquire the situation. Me and my aggregation acquire been abroad from the basal nations for absolutely some time, and now I'm auditioned some absolute adverse things about Konoha. I admiration if there's annihilation you can absolutely say aback it's aloof the two of us. Sakura assures, Danzo hasn't put a anathema on me, if that's what you're implying. He abandoned does that to those in Ambu, whose numbers are growing by the day. In all honesty, I anticipate in a year he'll try that on approved civilians and shinobi. Naruto stares at her, he puts anathema marks on his own men? Sakura nods, on the aback of their tongues, if they say the amiss affair they become bedridden from the close bottom ward and mute. That's why his Umbu are so loyal. Alike Sai has one on him. Naruto asks, and he's accept with that? Sakura adds, not anymore. He and a lot of the others were orphans aback Danzo begin them, about old abundant to accept in the academy to apprehend what they'd gotten themselves into. Now, I can see he's depressed with what he's doing, alike admitting he tries to adumbrate it. Naruto bows her head, I'm so apologetic you've been affected into this. Sakura admits, I accusation myself. In all honesty, I begged for Danzo's acceleration afterwards like acumen it. Naruto asks, how does that work? Sakura explains, Danzo's pet had approved to birthmark from the village, and we didn't apperceive what affectionate of man he was, so I begged his best acquaintance to accompany him back alive. I admired him. Naruto defends, there was no way anyone could apperceive this would happen, I'm abiding the acquaintance would agree. Sakura mirthlessly laughs, I wouldn't know, he was accomplished 2 years ago. Naruto asks, do you anticipate he'd accusation you? Sakura shrugs, I don't know. On the one hand, I don't anticipate he could anytime anticipate the worst of me, but on the other, I don't apperceive what he'd anticipate now. Alike if he could think. Naruto leaves, I dunno, either. So anyway, how's the antitoxin doing? Sakura looks over her notes, from what I'm reading, I can accomplish abundant for all 3 of you, but that's all. I'll be accomplished with them by tonight.